How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and everything relating to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yesterday's episode of Wandavision was fantastic. It was the best episode that we've gotten so far. And one thing that it did give us subtly throughout the entire episode, not just at the end, is give us clues to who that secret cameo that Paul Bettany has been talking about could actually be. Now, if you have not seen episode 5 of WandaVision, and I suppose all of the episodes before that, there are going to be spoilers for those episodes in this video. So if you're trying to avoid any and all spoilers for WandaVision up to episode 5, you should click away now. But if you love Marvel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. So recently, as I'm sure most of you know, Paul Bettany was interviewed where he talked about a surprise secret cameo coming towards the end of WandaVision.
I think people will be really excited. I've always wanted to work with this guy, and the scenes are pretty intense.
Now, this combined with Elizabeth Olsen saying something about a surprise cameo as well, has made the internet go crazy in trying to figure out who exactly this secret cameo is going to be from and what character is it going to be. But after the last episode of WandaVision, there seems to be clues on who exactly this is going to be, and we may have figured this out. Now, in my original video on who I thought this would be, I said that it could be Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and of course, it still could be. But I also believe that in episode 5, Marvel gave us subtle hints that it could actually be Magneto, and this makes a lot of sense when you break it down, which of course I will. Spoilers for The Mandalorian Season 2 finale coming up if you have not seen it. Recently, somebody asked Elizabeth Olsen if there is a Luke Skywalker Mandalorian-size appearance coming in WandaVision, and her response was yes. So that means whoever this cameo is that both Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are talking about is a really, really big cameo. And Luke Skywalker was somebody that was from the original Star Wars films, which leads many people to believe, including myself, that they're going to bring an old Marvel actor back to reprise a role. And now, after WandaVision episode 5, where they brought back Quicksilver, not Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver, but Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the other Marvel X-Men universe, anything is freaking possible with Marvel. But let's dissect a few parts of the last episode of WandaVision. Now, for those of you who may not know, at one point in time in the comics, Magneto was retconned to be the father of Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. So Wanda and Pietro's father was Magneto. Specifically, he was their father during the House of M story, which we already know is a heavy influence on what we're seeing in WandaVision. Now, what's really interesting about this is that in the House of M storyline, Quicksilver dies, but Wanda resurrects him. She brings him back to life. And she does this by warping reality, something that we are seeing right now in WandaVision. And it does look like she revived her brother in this alternate reality. Now, I kind of think he's evil and think maybe she didn't actually revive him, but still, he's revived, which goes along with the House of M storyline. Now, of course, the biggest part of Quicksilver appearing at the end of WandaVision episode 5 is that it's not Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver, who was the MCU Quicksilver that we saw in Avengers Age of Ultron. It's Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the Fox universe from the X-Men movies. Now, this was insanely awesome, but it has a lot of fans wondering exactly what the heck is going on. Is he actually Quicksilver from that X-Men universe? We know that WandaVision leads up to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and the multiverse is going to be a huge factor moving forward. Now, as far as Magneto is concerned, the fact that they resurrected this Quicksilver actually makes a lot of sense, because in the Fox universe, in the X-Men films, this Quicksilver finds out that Magneto is his father. So that's the route that Fox went. They went the route of Magneto being the father of Wanda and Pietro. And now, seemingly, that Quicksilver, whose father was Magneto, is in the MCU and is the brother of our Wanda. Could they be doing a type of retcon to where Wanda is the daughter of Magneto? Kevin Feige has officially announced that the mutants are coming to the MCU, and technically Quicksilver is the first mutant to enter the MCU. But it wouldn't be surprising if mutants started to show up randomly. Now, in this episode of WandaVision, it did reveal who their parents were. It said their names, but that happens in the comics too. They believed their parents to be the Maximoffs, but in reality, Magneto was their father. So that could be the same thing in WandaVision, and if you look closely at some scenes, there are a lot of resemblances between the X-Men and WandaVision and Wanda and Magneto. In the epic scene where Wanda walks out of her reality with the drone and throws it back at S.W.O.R.D., Wanda would soon after turn all of the S.W.O.R.D. agents on Tyler Hayward. Right before she does this, she says, "I'm not the one with the guns." This seems to be a mirror scene from the original X-Men film in 2000, where Magneto used his ability to control metal to turn the soldiers' guns against themselves as he drops the line, "You Homo sapiens and your guns." And that was Sir Ian McKellen's Magneto, but it also mirrors a scene from Michael Fassbender's Magneto from 2019's Dark Phoenix, the scene on the train where he uses his powers to take control of the weaponry on board the train. But perhaps the most direct connection between Wanda and Magneto comes at the end, where Wanda releases everybody from her powers. As she turns and walks away, she flicks her hand into the air and releases all of the sword agents from her powers. This looks exactly like Magneto does in Dark Phoenix, where he releases people from his powers, where he turns, flicks his wrist, and walks away. Could these similarities be because Magneto is the father of Wanda and Pietro in the MCU? Is this the direction that Marvel is going to go down? Well, it's been speculated for a very long time that Wandavision was going to introduce mutants to the MCU, which they technically did. But will they take it even further by introducing Magneto, specifically Ian McKellen's Magneto? Because again, if we're talking about this cameo that Paul Bettany is super excited to work about, and somebody that's on technically a Luke Skywalker level cameo, it's probably one of the original Marvel actors from one of the original movies. But if you recall, we actually have proof that Kevin Feige was reaching out to some of the original actors from the X-Men. Patrick Stewart revealed about a year ago that Kevin Feige reached out to him, called him into the studio for a meeting, and they had a talk. Now, according to Patrick Stewart, what they were talking about was Professor Xavier in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the future for him. Now, Patrick Stewart did say that he was not going to come back to reprise his role. He said that he said goodbye to his role of Professor Charles Xavier in Logan when he died. He said maybe if he hadn't had said goodbye in that show, he could have still come back. But the multiverse in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now a thing, as we saw at the end of episode 5 of Wandavision. And now people like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen can come for a quick cameo and not have to commit to years and years of playing the same character. They would only have to commit to about 1 or 2 days of filming if it's a quick cameo. Now, I personally would assume that since Kevin Feige met with Patrick Stewart, that he probably met with Ian McKellen as well. But the reason that we may not have heard about it is because Ian McKellen might have said yes to coming back as Magneto, because it works very well with the story of WandaVision. Because you're not just going to come back for the heck of it. There has to be a good reason. Fan service is great, but the story also has to work. And Ian McKellen never said that he would not return as Magneto. In fact, in that universe, Magneto is still alive. And now the Quicksilver from that universe, the same universe as Magneto, is in our universe, the MCU. And that Quicksilver's father is Magneto, and his sister is Wanda. Then we have all of the similarities between Wanda and the 2 different versions of Magneto from the Fox universe. And this is why I believe that it's Ian McKellen that could be showing up in WandaVision as Magneto, as Wanda's father. I think story-wise, it makes a lot of sense. It would, of course, offer some fan service, but it would also introduce the X-Men into the MCU, and I think that the last episode gave us some hints that it could happen. But let me know what you think about this in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more theories and Easter eggs about WandaVision. Don't forget to like the video, and for live updates, you can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.